I think we've been doing a generally good job of improving it. I think maybe a lot of what we're experiencing these days is a result of a shift in the way our media is created and consumed. Before we had, a couple of news outlets that were basically sending a very similar message to a lot of people. And today, everybody are like in their own little echo chamber. So you keep on hearing things that confirm your point of view. And also a lot of social media is designed to keep you as engaged as possible. And it's easiest to do by getting you really worked up, But generally speaking, things are pretty good. I mean, you have running water, you have electrical, people aren't being attacked in the streets too often. Generally, I think there's a lot to be thankful for, and that's a good thing. And I hope it will continue. We have had Anna.
I'm sorry,
No,
can I just,
sure,
yeah,
sure.
I think,
yeah, go ahead.
I think that, it's funny because when I came to the States from the Middle East, I remember like being able to drink out of the tap was such a great thing, right? I was so excited. I remember just being so excited about that very basic thing. But yeah, I think that, I definitely came to this country, and I used to come here a lot growing up. And like I said, my dad grew up here, but when I moved here, I really felt like I can create a life for myself on my own terms. And that has been, that's definitely something I really value. And I feel more, people always ask me, well, where do you consider home? And I definitely consider the United States home, in the sense that it's where I've built my life. And I think that, and I really want everyone to feel that way. And I know there are people who really struggle in this country. And it is one thing for me, coming from a third world country where you're not resource rich, but people are very happy and content for the most part, at least when I was growing up. And I think in this country, there are some really important social issues that we need to think about that, despite being very resource rich, still exist. And that's part of the reason why I got into public policy personally. And I think that that's a lot of what folks are fighting for right now. And it's, and I think that's at the very core of some of the liberal versus conservative conversations. It's a really fascinating thing to think about how we approach things from those perspectives. And I agree, like social media has, it's done well to bring people together that are feeling passionate about certain things. And it's also been a disservice in some ways to what your point is, which is it has created some echo chambers that do so some, not so productive ways of thinking and approaching things. So I think at the very core of all of this, and for me anyway, is that there are problems ahead of us that we need to solve as a society. And it's a matter of how we approach that. Are we going to come together to solve those problems? Or are we going to all try to tackle them in different groups with different methods, and then also fighting against each other? Right? It's like in a relationship, in a marriage, it's like, are you going to butt heads and then think that you're going to improve your marriage? Or are you going to, have to figure out like the ways of compromising and, setting your boundaries, but also compromising and figuring out how to do that together. And I know that's part of what underlies Braver Angels, some of that thinking. So this is none of this easy, and it's very emotional, and it's very hard, and it's very frustrating. But I think I have hope for how we can get through it.
100%. I agree with you. I also have a lot of hope. And I think what you said is very poignant. A lot of times if you look like, you'll have a red person, so to speak, to speak in cliches, and a blue person. Yeah. And they're both looking at somebody who's hungry. So the blue person is like, here, have fish. And the red person is like, here, have like a fishing rod. And both of them, both share a common value. They don't want the person to go hungry, but they don't necessarily see the path towards getting there. the same way. So it's more an argument
Right.
about you know, how are we going to get to a better world, rather than should we get to a better world. I think something
Right.
that is unique to the United States, and like you said, when you come from a third world country or from a place in conflict, it's kind of like you see that a lot. People who come here from abroad, that they're actually have a much better perception of America than the people who live here.